Good afternoon, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California. This is Success Sadhana. My name is JM, and I welcome you all today to a program where we'll discuss some of the thoughts which Vaish had shared previously. As you know, Vaish is on a 6-week trip to India for a spiritual retreat, but he has encouraged us to continue to meet and keep the transcendental vibration going. So we'll review his previous talk, Secrets of Ancient Yogis to Train the Mind today. So let's get started and let's get a little centered before we review some of the slides that he had previously shared. So with that, let's do some mantra meditation. So please close your eyes and sit up a little straight than you were a few moments ago. Take breaths a little longer than you usually would do. And as you're taking deep breaths, please focus on your breath. When you're inhaling and exhaling, focus on your breath. And as Vaish says, the most powerful asset we have is our attention. And where we direct our attention, all our energies are channelized, and that determines our future. So let's focus our attention to our feet and ask it to relax. And you take deep breaths. Focus your attention on your legs. Ask it to relax. Focus your attention on your thighs, on your stomach, on your chest. Ask it to relax. Continue to take deep breaths and focus on your breath. Focus your attention on your hand, your wrist, your arms, your shoulder, and ask it to relax. Focus your attention on your neck, your chin, your eyes, eyebrows, your forehead, and ask it to relax. Feel the tension getting released as the muscles are getting relaxed. Now we'll do some mantras. We'll chant Om mantra. And as you chant, please feel the vibration on your face, in your heart region. I'll take deep breaths. You can chant with me. So take deep breath in. Oh. 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 Please feel the vibration of the mantra as you feel. Be grateful for this opportunity today that we have to come together, slow down a little, relax, and take in some transcendental vibration. Keep taking deep breaths. Slowly rub your hands, open your eyes, and let's come back to the Zoom room. Thank you, Linda, Raj, and Sujata. Thanks for joining today. Glad that you are here. And hope you had a good meditation session. So as I mentioned before the start of the session, Vaish is on a 6-week trip to India for retreat. Just one more week to go. He will be back after a week. But we will continue to hear some of his past wisdom and then discuss and reflect. So today's topic is secrets of ancient yogis for training the mind. Let me share my slide and we'll get started. I'm hoping the slide is up and you're able to see now. If you can confirm, you're able to see the slide.
Yep, we are able to see.
Okay, thanks. So, as you know, we often hear what's outside, like what we feel externally, is often a reflection of what's inside, what is the consciousness inside. And Vaish gave several examples for this. One of the examples he gave was how at the age of 16, he left his school, his family, and he went to a monastery to become a monk. And there it was a very simple living. Like he had very basic things to live with, very simple food. And he was fully dedicated, focused on doing spiritual practices, morning to evening, living a very simple life. And he was very happy. He was very happy in that environment, just doing spiritual practices and just living a simple life. And subsequently, after 13 years of remaining a monk, finally, when he moved out of the monastery, and he went back to school to finish his graduation. Then he started a business, started his family. So the environment changed. Right, it was no longer a simple life, but more, modern, chaotic life, hectic life. But he continued his spiritual practice, which means, despite the external environment which had changed, internally he was still content, happy, continuing to practice the spiritual practices he had. And because of which he was able to transition to this environment and remain content. Another example which comes to mind is, let's say there was a student who really loved sweet. You can pick any sweet, maybe a chocolate, or in India we have various milk sweets. One of them is called gulab jamun, which is made of milk and with sugar, liquid. It's very sweet. It's very tasty as well. So that student, he always, of course, loves the gulab jamun that he savors, tastes. And he had a nice gulab jamun being cooked that day at home, and he was really looking forward to it. He was feeling happy that he's going to, taste gulab jamun again, have them as much as his heart's content. And by the time the gulab jamun was cooked, it was ready to be served. He just got his exam results, and he found out that he did not clear the exam that he had appeared for. And obviously, he had worked hard and became very sad and disappointed that he failed the exam, and he had to retake it. And you can imagine in that state, when the gulab jamun came in front of him, it did not, he was not feeling like having it at all, let alone taste it and enjoy. So, because by hearing the news of him not passing the exam had completely impacted his mind, and he was not able to take anything else. So many times we connect our happiness with external things, but if you're not inside stable, blissful, happy, then even the change of external environment, even if you feel like we'll be happy, it will be temporary, it will be momentary before it comes down. So there is a nice verse in Bhagavad Gita. It's Bhagavad Gita 18.54, where it says, how you can become happy for no reason. So actually, I realized I should have said happy for no reason. The no is missing. It's a very critical piece. I can't let it go. So the verse itself says, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So there are a few key words here. One of them is transcendently situated, at once realize the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. So once you're practicing spiritual, once you're following spiritual practices and you come to a spiritual platform, then you become fully joyful, which means you're not dependent on any external thing. You don't need to buy your next fancy car or get your next promotion or big bonus or go to a vacation. So you're not dependent on any of those to become happy. You are just internally happy because you're in your true spiritual nature. And once you are in that state, then neither you lament for losing something, or you have any desire to having something because to be happy, because you're already happy. You don't need anything more. And another important thing is he is equally disposed toward every living entity, which means you see the connection that you have with other living entities, that they all are also conscious entities. And with that connection, you are able to see how to interact with the world better at a spiritual level. And as you practice, then of course you eventually attain supreme. So it was a nice verse asking us to focus on being spiritual internally so that we can be happy for no reason. Another point is like, let's say you have a big mortgage. So at least several of us here in US, when we buy a house, we get a big mortgage and we have a lot of debt that we work hard to pay for. But suddenly one day, if somebody comes and says, you are debt free, all your debts are paid off, so you don't have any more debt. You can just lead a normal life without worry about paying any debt. And suddenly, if you can think of that situation, you'll be so relieved. Yeah, I don't have to pay any mortgage now. I'm debt free. All the income I get, I can now use it for other purposes. Suddenly, you're a lot more relaxed. So similar analogy is given that once we realize that we are not tied to material world for our happiness, our happiness depends on our spiritual nature, not on any of those external things, then we can be relaxed that yes, we control, like we have full control of to be happy, and we are not dependent on others. Like how a child, they are generally happy. They are generally happy when they are very young. Just all they look for is their bodily needs are taken care of. They are just fed, they're kept clean, and they're just running around. They're not looking for a car or a house or anything. They're just happy playing themselves. So you can be at that stage if you realize that what your true nature is, what your spiritual nature is, and that you're not dependent on external material world items to be happy. So how to realize what our true nature is, and how to be in harmony with our true nature. So even here, I think Vaisha has also given some example. I also had, I'm sure you might have also had some examples like this, where several times the same theme has come about. Like I'm a very sincere student. I'm sure most of us are, which means when the exam is, you start preparing well in advance. You make sure you have done one revision, two revision, three revisions, so that you're fully prepared. You're with all the materials for the exam, and then finally, when you go to the exam, like you're not surprised. You're fully prepared, so you just go through all the tests, you write all the answers, all the questions, and you come out and know, yeah, I did well because I was fully prepared. I went in, and I was not surprised. But many times I get this dream where suddenly I realize I'm in my university. It's kind of last year of the university. My degree is dependent on it, and I have an exam tomorrow. And I just got to know about it. There is an exam, final exam tomorrow. So I was surprised that how come I don't know there is a final exam tomorrow. So then I quickly get to understand what is the syllabus, what is going to come, what am I supposed to prepare. Then I look at the syllabus. Everything is new to me. Like not even a single topic I'm aware of. I'm very surprised. Like, how come I'm not aware of any of this topic? Like what was I doing for the entire year? Uh, and how will I prepare now just in one day? How will I go through? And then I uh, get anxious. I call my friends trying to find out, like, I don't know, this metal is new. Do you have any metal with you which talks about how can I prepare, etc. And many times, I think around this stage, I wake up from my dream, and I feel better, of course. That is, I'm not preparing for exam tomorrow, and I won't fail if I appear. But then I become relaxed, and I'm no longer anxious. The entire anxiety goes away. So similarly, when we realize what's going through, what we are going through in our daily life, it's all on the middle platform, which is all on the bodily platform. That is, anything and everything which happens with us is in relation to our body. Whether any bodily pain we have, any bodily issues we have, or any relationship issues we have, which is again connected to our body, or any natural calamities or anything which is happening around the world. It's everything related to our body. And we are not our bodies. We are consciousness. We are pure consciousness, which is currently in the body, but is separate from body, which means it doesn't matter what happens to the body. We can chart out a course which is separate from the body. So once we understand, once we don't identify with our bodies, and we can be observer to what's happening, we can understand this is a field and we are knower of the field, then that gives us the power to be associated with our true nature, which is to be always happy at that spiritual platform, and not get entangled and affected by the metal platform. So those are some of the initial thoughts and slides from the previous talk. Any thoughts, comments, questions so far before I continue with the remaining slides? You can type in your chat box or unmute yourself and share your thoughts. I do see Anirban, Manish, Nirali, Sujata, and Sundar joining. Thank you all for joining. Any thoughts or comments or questions so far?
Yeah, just one comment. Hi, Jim. Nice to see you.
Same here.
So just one comment I had was that, as we were talking about how many times we are just absorbed in the external situation. I remember the phrase from Vaish, there is life and then there is life situation. And so there is a difference. And many times we get bogged down by, the day-to-day situations and so many things we get bogged down by, but it's always good to actually take a pause and then understand that how and many times in the Bay Area also the tendency is to just do one thing after another, keep doing things, and good to just reflect and pause and understand that I'm a human being, not just a human doing, and understand that I'm a conscious being, being dragged into many of these different situations, but then we can actually take a step back and then reflect on our true nature, which is spiritual force or conscious being.
Thanks so much, Sundar, for sharing that. You're right. When we get caught up in our just work one after another, like as I said, we are human doing. When we become human doing instead of human being, then we lose perspective, and then and then we get entangled into this material world. We just have to step back up and become an observer, so that we can get connected with our inner self. So thank you for sharing that. Linda has put a comment on the chat. She says, in my dream, I cannot find the building on campus where my test is being held. It made me smile to hear you have a similar dream. Yes. Yeah, I didn't, yeah, not the test, but the entire syllabus disappeared for me. I don't know what exam I'm doing, but yeah, I can resonate to how you feel. And I think what Vaish used to say was, he has to catch a flight. He's going to airport and suddenly he can't find his boarding pass, I guess. That's a recurring dream that he has. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Just one more thought I had was,
Please.
just one thought I had was, it's not just the body, but also the mind. I heard an interesting phrase from my friend, that, generally we use the mind as an instrument to see things. And instead of, one way to also look at it is, I want to look at the instrument with which I look everything in this world. So instead of looking with the instrument, at this world, I want to look at the instrument itself. So that's another nice introspective and meditative point where you can actually, if you have few minutes of quiet time, you can see, okay, I want to look at the instrument with which I look at the world. So that way, it creates a separation between the mind and ourselves. And as you said, that observation, being an observer, can actually create that separation. And of course, mantra meditation, I'm sure you would have started with a meditation exercise, which helps us to clearly see the difference between us and our life situation.
Very true. Like if you can become observer and see the mind, all the thoughts which appear, and then maybe don't grab on, and see it passing by. So that's it's very relaxing and more centering. So absolutely, that kind of exercise is very helpful. Very helpful. And yeah, we did start with a short introspection meditation before the session today. Thank you for sharing that. Nirali shares, I feel that I am too active even in meditation and remember my body and surroundings. Nirali, you're not alone. It's not easy. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you might, like, your mind is difficult to control, even more difficult than controlling the wind. So it's not that we have to be perfect, but just the practice where if you keep trying it, you can see you're improving. So yeah, you are active, but slowly, as you practice every day, you will see that your act, like the mind's activities, at least the amount of seconds or minutes is reduced, is more and more. It's a bit calmer. So that progress helps us to keep trying it on a daily basis. But thank you, Nirali, for sharing that. Okay, so we'll see a few more slides and maybe can take some questions and reflections. So towards that end, how can we realize how to understand our nature, and how to, once we understand our nature, what can we do to be more in tuned or aligned with our nature? So towards that is first to understand all the different categories of existence. And in Vedas, there are the multiple ways of going about. One of them is just start counting or analysis, go about understanding all the different aspects of world and start documenting them. Second is ways through knowledge, or jnana as they call it, which is understanding the different categories of existence. One is Atma, or consciousness, which is not material, is spiritual. And second is Prakriti, which is all the material elements in the world. And the true knowledge is said to be understanding the difference between these two, which is the difference between the material elements and ourselves, which is consciousness. Once we understand this key aspect, it gives us control on to come in harmony with our nature. So again, these are the metal elements which we all have heard before: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So 5 gross element: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then 3 subtle element: mind, and intelligence, which is separate from mind, which sometimes guides us how to react to what mind says, and false ego, which leads us to believe that we are the controller, we are the ones who are doers, and of everything that's happening in our life. And those are the various elements. But we need to see, in addition to these gross and subtle elements, there is one more category which has, which saw in previous slides, ourselves, which is we are pure consciousness, and our nature is Satchidananda, which means we are eternal, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. And our chitta, or extension of mind, is very volatile, which we saw in the element. So even though we are consciousness, we live in this metal body which has all these elements, both the gross and subtle, and because of that interaction, it reacts to the different waves and contractions and expansion which come about, different things which come about. So it starts associating itself with that and reacts to it. So one of the example which was given is, let's say as a family, like today is Friday, right? As a family, we plan to, let's say, go for a movie. Then we discuss with family, with wife and children, what movie we want to go, which location, what time. We agree, we go online, book ticket, and then we drive through the car, discussing, of course, we're going for the movie. We some may know a bit of the story, what the story is about. We discuss some of the movie actors, actresses which are there in their past movies we have seen. So we discuss that. I mean, I may be discussing that with my family. Then we park the car near the theater. Go inside the theater. There are multiple rooms, multiple theater rooms where the different movies might be playing. There are many people. I can see many people who come about. People have gone to maybe get some snacks, some drink, getting ready to watch the movie. So I can see all of them around, those who come for the movie. Then as a family, I can see we all are walking towards the theater room. We show our tickets to the person who is standing outside. Of course, he greets us, we greet him. He says, he looks at the ticket, he says, yeah, everything is good. He allows us to get in. We get into the hall. We see many seats. People have already taken, some of the seats are taken. We try to look for where is our row. We go and sit in the row that is assigned to us. And we saw the people also coming in, and soon enough, you start seeing some advertisements or some messages coming up before the movie starts. So you see the ads, you see the messages, but you're still aware, people are still moving in, they are taking their seats, you're still aware of them, you're still talking to your family, maybe about the message or the movie. Then finally the movie starts, and obviously the movie will start with the plot. It will have some challenge, then the hero comes in, then the plot starts, and of course the person who is guarding the hall, they may stop people from coming in because the movie has started. You don't want others to be disturbed. And as that movie goes about, you associate yourself with what the actor is thinking, doing, how it's unfair, unjust, or fair, just how the actors are feeling, doing, and you're fully engrossed in it. Now, when the movie is being played, you realize that the only thing you're aware is that movie screen. You are actually inside that. You are actually going with the actor, actresses, the villain, and everything else, the characters in the movie. Your family is sitting next to you. You're not aware of them. Like throughout, till the journey till here, you're talking to them, you're aware of them. There are so many people sitting in the theater, in front of your seat, in back of your seat. You're not aware of them. You're not aware of the person who is letting people in. So you're not aware of anything and everything around. You're fully engrossed in that movie, and you associate yourself with the protagonist, the actor, the actresses, the villain, etc. And you take on their cause, whatever they are wanting to happen in the movie. You want that too, because that's fair, that's just, etc. So this example is given to help us understand how we as consciousness, once we interact with our mind, with our body, with the senses of the body, we get so engrossed in the screen of the mind through which we are perceiving everything around our world, that we are no longer connected with ourselves. Like when we are watching the movie, many times we don't, like, we are not even aware that we are sitting in that seat, right? Like we are fully inside that screen. So we lose connection with ourselves because we are fully engrossed in the mind and what mind is projecting us in terms of what we are and what's happening to us. And how when the character in the movie feel happy, we also feel happy. When the character feels sad, we also feel sad, though nothing is happening to us. It's just all on the screen to characters, which is virtual in nature. So like that, we are also fully engrossed in all the things that are happening around us in our life. We believe, we associate ourselves with those things, and we then start getting impacted because of how we perceive. So that's how the mirror of mind, or the screen of mind, projects and connects us to this world. We start believing everything which is happening as true and happening to us, and we get happy or sad. So just any question or thought on that? Anything which came about when hearing that story? I'm sure there might be other things that might have heard too. Just want to maybe pause a second and see if you have anything to add to that. No. So we'll continue with the remaining slides. And yeah, if you have anything, yes, please feel free to type in the chat box or unmute yourself and share your thoughts anytime, please. So as I mentioned, our chitta, or how we perceive the world through our mind, is very volatile. It reacts to everything, how the senses perceive what's happening in the world. And as it oscillates, it also makes our feelings, our sense of happiness also oscillate up and down. So Bhagavad Gita says, how can there be any happiness without peace? And a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So if, like, how, as you know, like, rivers is constantly pouring water into the ocean, but we don't see the ocean level rise. It's always stays, like, level stays kind of static. Like that, all these desires which are constantly our mind is bringing in front of us, if we start running after them, trying to satisfy each one of them constantly, then we won't be satisfied, because mind will never give us a break. It will always have the next desire to run after. But once we are satisfied internally and we don't run after every desire, then we'll attain peace. And once we have attained peace, we'll naturally be, that's the first step towards becoming happy. And as you know, there are three modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva means clarity, stability, very methodical, orderly. Rajas is very active. You know, you want to do the next thing, you want to go after the next thing. It's a little unstable because it's always active, and it also keeps oscillating, or going between sattva and tamas. It's always stable and chaotic. And tamas is the lowest mode of energy, which is darkness, chaos, and inertia, lazy. I don't feel like doing anything. So these three modes, we are a mixture of these three modes, and it's always in flux. So even here, you'll see sometimes you're peaceful, sometimes you want to feel like you're very active, sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. So even this mixture keeps changing, evolving throughout the day, throughout the life. And there are few activities which, if we do, will affect our. Sundar, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, Jay.
Go ahead.
No, one thing I was just, as you were mentioning about that verse, from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita about the material desires. I was just thinking about in the same chapter, of course, there is nothing wrong with desires because we are sentient beings and we need, you know, um, we need something to work, to be active towards, um, and there is a, and I think the same section, the commentaries, the teachers talk about how there are two kinds of desires. There is the material desire and then the spiritual desires. So desires in themselves are not bad, but when they are directed towards our own self gratification, then it becomes karma or material desires, and that's what it never satisfies us. But desires where which can be dovetail, which are dovetail to selfless service and acts of devotion, to basically please the beloved or the divine, then it becomes spiritual and it really satisfies the self. So I was just thinking about that point between how there is a quality to that desire.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Yes, and you nicely led me to the next point, connected where definitely we have desire, but if you can understand the categories of it and accordingly dovetail, as you mentioned, because you cannot stop desire, as you mentioned. Like, we cannot be desireless. Desires will come, but we need to know how to use that for our spiritual growth, and that's where our practice helps us. So thank you for bringing that point.
Right. And just one more point I wanted to add was that Krishna talks about this in the second chapter itself. Where he says, when we experience something higher, then we can let go of something lower. So when we experience something higher through the spiritual practices, as you were describing in the beginning, during meditation and other practices, when we experience something higher at a spiritual level, then we'll be able to let go of the gratification that comes from material desires. Then it becomes easy to let go of something lower. So just
Very
wanted
good.
to.
No, thank you. No, that's an excellent point. Like, if you have a small child at home, it's very difficult to ask a child, stay still, don't move. If you move around, you will break this, break that. So don't move, just be in your place. I'll finish my work and come. That is not going to happen because it's a small child. It can't be still. But if you give the child some toy so that you can play with it and engage the child, then yeah, I mean, the child is not active, but it's engaged in something which is playful, which is fun. And then, yeah, you can go and do your chores and come back and make sure everything is still in place. The electric sockets are safe. All the things are still safe. So yeah, it's not avoid. You can't avoid, but it's actually replace. So instead of asking to avoid, if you can replace with a higher desire or higher consciousness, then you are able to make progress on spirituality. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Upgrade. Yeah, replace and
Upgrade.
upgrade.
Not replace, but upgrade.
Yeah, thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Sorry, the screen moved about. So these are some of the factors which contract chitta or mind that we have. Reward seeking work, and that might look contradictory in the sense, when you are working, there is typically a reward that you're looking for. Like, you're going for work, you want salary, as an example. And in any relationship, you are taking care of that person, you do want, there is some expectation in return. So but that's contrary to our nature, because our nature is actually to do selfless service. And instead of doing selfless service, when we start doing reward seeking service, then we have expectations, and we can't control whether we get the result or not, and that results in sometimes we being happy, sometimes we being disappointed. Second is unregulated senses. So yeah, we do have senses. They all have their actual uh, functions that they have to do. But if they are not regulated and you let them run around and you always follow what the sense is asking you to do, buy this, buy that, eat this, eat that, etc. So yeah, you would be temporarily happy because you achieved what the sense asked you to do, but after that temporary period is over, again you'll be unhappy. The third point is no spiritual goals or practice, where we always do want to aim for something in life, and if they are not spiritual in nature, like even in corporate world, like we are coming closer to year ends, I'm sure their annual planning across corporation is currently underway, which means what you want to do next year. So what our goals are. So if you don't have spiritual goals and or practice which supporting those goals, then again our mind or chitta would contract. And lastly is material sound vibration. So yeah, as Vaish always says, the quality of a sound that we listen to determines the quality of life. And if you're listening to sound which are more metal in nature, which are just more which touch your body, which makes you maybe energetic, you feel like energetic maybe on the bodily platform, but doesn't touch your soul or your consciousness, then again your chitta would contract. So what is the antidote to all these factors? How can we avoid them? The antidote to this is what are the factors which will expand our chitta? First is anonymous service. So as I mentioned, the first one, instead of reward seeking service, if you do anonymous or selfless service, then we naturally become happy. The greatest example for this is a mother, like which is constantly serving the child without any expectation, and it's one of the most happiest person to see its child growing up in a safe environment and growing up nicely. And given that's our true nature, I mean, it's not that we can't, we have to avoid doing reward seeking service. That is, we should not go and work, etc. That's not the point, because we are a conscious being, but in this bodily platform. So we do have to maintain our body, which means we do have to do work which is required to sustain and maintain the body. But what is the proportion of how much you can work 8 hours a day, you can work 10 hours a day, you can work 12 hours a day, you can work 16 hours a day too. Like in Japan, I'm sure you might have heard how there is a culture of just working a lot, because that's the culture, that's the society status there, that my husband works 16 hours a day, my wife works 16 hours a day, etc., where they take pride. So if we are just constantly working to just keep getting more money, more material things, then you won't be happy. So you need to strike a balance where you do your work so that you can have a very comfortable, healthy body and a comfortable life. At the same time, make sure you have enough time allotted for doing a spiritual practice, which includes serving others, so that your chitta or mind can be in balance. It's not contracting continuously. It can remain. It can expand as well. Second is regulated senses. I think we briefly touched upon this before, where if you just keep running after every desire which your mind puts in on the material platform, then you will be given, it only gives temporary happiness. You will be unhappy after that. But if you regulate it, which is you, of course, take care of what is needed to maintain your body. At the same time, if you can dovetail or upgrade, as Sundar pointed out, where we also upgrade our senses to be engaged in spiritual activity, like doing mantra meditation or discussing spiritual topics like what you're doing now, or even going out and serving others. So that way, if you have senses regulated and they start getting taste in doing those things, slowly, the lower mode activities which we are attached to goes away. And that is a philosophy even in like those who have addiction, like they are addicted to maybe alcohol or some other form of activity which is not good for them. So even then, this is very heavily emphasized that don't try to stop it, but rather upgrade or replace it, so that you can actually get de-addicted and get engaged in some higher level of activities. And then lastly, spiritual practice with goals, so that you have a defined goal. So you will do something minimum every day, and make sure you're internally filling up your bucket on a daily basis. Because once you're internally filled, once you're internally content, then it doesn't matter what happens externally. You will be always be able to interact with the world, engage with the world at a higher level, and purify the sound vibration. So hear to spiritual sound, because that's what touches your soul, that's what touches your consciousness, and that's what helps you grow in spiritual path. So these are antidote to the contracting activities we saw in the previous slide. And lastly, one of the most important item is satisfaction, or knowing that you have enough. So like once you have had your meal, you're full. It doesn't matter what the host or the other person is giving you to eat. You are full. So even it might be the most tastiest thing, or it could be a most delicious thing. It doesn't matter. Given you are full, you will say no. I'm done. I don't want anything more. Even it could be the most favorite food that you always wanted to have. Like that, if you have a spiritual practice which fills you internally, then you're not uh, dependent on external activities or external things, material things, to make you happy. Or also at the same time, if there are things which happen which were as unexpected, uh, uh, then you might normally feel sad. It may not be it may not impact you that much, because internally you are full. And as Vaish always says, do your duty, be methodical but dispassionate. That like even in US, I think Surgeon Association, they have a rule that if you're a surgeon and you have to do surgery, you cannot perform operations on your family members, because generally you have an emotional connection with the member. So there is chance that emotion may take over you and you might make a mistake. So that, like that, if we are associated with our body, then there is a good chance we see everything in relation to body, and we become emotional, and we may make mistake. But if you go about doing a duty methodically, systematically, but with dispassion, which means we are not expecting any results, then that frees us up, and we are able to do our best without any expectation in return, helping us to be centered and be content with whatever result we get. So those were a quick rundown of some of the other slides, which Vaish had shared. Any questions, comments, thoughts, and any of those?
So when you say be methodical, meaning like have a fixed timings and all those, right?
Fixed time is definitely a part of it, but that's not all. Which means you are a conscious being, but you are living in a material body. Which means, let's say you have a project, you have a plan, you are supposed to do your duty, right? For example, even in Bhagavad Gita, Arjun did not want to fight because he was going to kill his family members, which didn't feel right. But it was his duty to to fight, because he was a warrior. He was supposed to fight for justice, right? So you should. So when we have this material body, we do have a duty. We have a duty to our to maintain this body, because that's the longer this body lives, the more chance we have to we can perform spiritual practice. We have a duty to maintain our family. We have a duty to do a job as an employee or as an employer at our work. So we do have duty to perform, and we are supposed to perform all of those duties in a balanced way, right? Keeping the balance of material and spiritual activity. At the same time, dispassionately means the result, don't be attached to it, because once you get attached to the result, that's when you will be disappointed or get carried away with happiness. you're doing your duty dispassionately without getting attached to the result, so that you can stay equipoised and continue to perform your duty. So that's
So
that.
one of the things before that you mentioned spiritual practice with goals. What goals are we talking about? Like achieve something?
Yeah, so we do have, I mean, I can quickly maybe flash the 21-day spiritual fitness challenge, which
Oh,
does
that
have,
goals.
yeah. So on the goal side, something which helps you, helps on a daily basis,
Okay.
refresh your a consciousness, or like mantra meditation, like having a practice around it on a daily basis, gaining more knowledge on the spiritual aspect, so that you can make continued progress, associating with other spiritualists, like having that goal. For example, like we are meeting now and discussing this is a platform we connect. So like that, having a goal on every aspect, like how you have financial goals you have every year that you want to meet, likewise having spiritual goals to make progress, and then doing practice to attain those spiritual goals is what is referred to there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just
Go ahead,
one
Sundar.
comment. Yeah, just one comment I wanted to add was that I think having a goal is important, but as James was mentioning, not being attached to the outcome is what we should practice. So having a goal, we need to have a goal, whether it's spiritual or material. We need to have a plan. We need to have a goal that's methodical. So that is required. But what we should not be attached to is the outcome. So when we are, actively performing, when we are engaged in activities to achieve the goal, sometimes the outcome may not be as to what we expect. So what we can try to be detached from is the outcome. And one reflection I just wanted to, I really like the slides about the contracting and expanding chitta. And it's interesting, that just one thought I had was, why does in our chitta or awareness contract? Because when we equate ourselves, because we are higher energy, we are spiritual energy, and when we equate ourselves with the body and mind, which is material energy, then we are right there, we are devaluing. We're kind of devaluing ourselves. So it's as you mentioned, JM, it's important to take care of the body, the needs of the body, the needs of the machine. But it's very important not to equate ourselves with these tools or with these machines. It's very important to understand that these tools or these faculties, the body and the mind, it's different from us, and equating us with this, it devalues. We are right there devaluing ourselves because we are conscious living force.
Yes, thanks, Sundar, for sharing that. Like as Vaish always says, the root of all problem is bodily conception. As soon as you identify yourself body, your problem starts, and the solution of all problem is as soon as you detach yourself from body, then you are on a path for spiritual advancement, happiness, and fulfillment. So yes, like if you think a stone, we think it might be just a normal stone, but we go to a person who knows that stone and says it's a diamond. Suddenly it becomes more valuable. But so like that, if we depends on what we perceive ourselves to be, we might be devaluing if we think we are body. So thank you for sharing that. We have just 1 minute left. So thank you everyone for joining. But maybe we'll just do last 10 mantras, and so that we can carry the transcendental vibration to a weekend. So we'll go through the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So for that, we'll just close our eyes, and please, you may chant with me. Close your eyes and take deep breath, and let's chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today to keep the transcendental vibration going. One more week left, and then Vash will be back. So till then, let's sign off with Hari Bol so that we can take that vibration with us. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!